What's happening? What's happening? Welcome back. Man, where y'all been hiding at? Welcome back. Y'all know what it is. Y'all know who it is. I'm your friendly neighborhood smoke, and you are officially tuned in to the best kept secret in sports talk. This is the hot seat, and you all know what we do on the hot seat. We set somebody's ass on fire. And who are we setting on fire this week? Of course, we're gonna bring my Florida State Seminoles back to the hot seat, man. We're gonna do something a little different. This week, we're gonna have a 5-player countdown of the players who I feel are most important to what Florida State is going to be able to do on the football field. So whatever level of success Florida State is able to obtain, I think without these 5 players, either one of them, Florida State won't be able to reach their full potential. We're going to do one episode this week, one next week. So this week we're going to focus on the defense. Now, before we get into that, something I've been itching to discuss with you all, something I've been itching to get off my chest, and I'm just going to take this opportunity to do so. So, if you follow the program, you heard about the issue or the incident with Warren Thompson and Coach Norvell. Warren Thompson came out on social media and said he had some issues. He felt like he was lied to by the program. I'm guessing Mike Norvell specifically about the player safety with the coronavirus going around and how they were testing and how they were keeping players protected. I think even his mother came out and made a tweet or something of that nature. And everything ended up, I guess, working itself out. He had a meeting with Coach Norvell. He issued a public apology. Seems as if he's on the football team. Everything's a go. Everybody's moving forward. I don't want to discuss that. My issue, because I tell y'all all the time, I follow every Florida State publication. I'm in every chat room. I'm on every message board. I don't message often, right? I don't say things too often, but I'm on there every day, a good portion of the day, and I read everything, mostly for entertainment because you guys are hilarious. One thing I've noticed, and this has become a trend, and I guess most of this is because if you're a Florida State fan, you haven't had a lot to be happy about for the last 3 to 4 years, right? The program is in shambles. That said, some of you all still hold the brand that is Florida State. Some of you all still hold the team above everything else. If you hold the team above humanity, then you are one despicable individual. And if I said something just now that probably stung a little bit, then I'm talking directly to your ass. Some of you all cast that kid to hell just because he had an opinion. And you all slapped what he said up against the wall with what other players came out behind him and said. As the saying goes, 2 things can be true. Just because somebody disagreed with him doesn't mean that his feelings weren't as important or what he said was any less factual. Some of you guys cast that boy to hell and saying, like, y'all got real personal. And I've said this before. I'm not going to tell you how to be a fan. But if you're going to sit here and judge children, these are kids. If you were going to sit here and judge kids, listen, just because they're on TV doesn't mean they mature any faster. Just because they grow up in the eyes of the public doesn't mean they're able to not make mistakes. I remember being 18. I remember being 19. I remember being 20. And goddamn it, we ain't finna talk about it. Shit. I was a fucking idiot. I did a lot of dumb shit. Thankfully, the mistakes I made, I had people around me who were able to get me on the straight and narrow and say, hey, this isn't the way you go about doing things. A lot of people become a product of their environment or at least a product of their surroundings, right? You all cast a lot of judgment on a kid. He's a kid. The expectation you all have for kids is beyond me. And that's just what the fuck they are. They're kids. If you hold your football team, if you hold a sports figure above humanity, then the kids aren't the problem. You are. And you need to check your goddamn self. Stop being so quick to pass judgment on kids. Maybe you've forgotten what you did when you were 18, when you were 19, and when you were 20. Just because the law may see you as an adult at the age of 21 doesn't mean you actually have the mental capacity of an adult. That doesn't mean you have progressed in the maturation process as most people would like you to be. And in some cases, you see that in front of the world. He made a mistake. He owned up to it. That's not going to be the last mistake he makes. He's a kid. Now, I'm not just speaking on his behalf. speaking on the entire team's behalf as it relates to all the football players on that team. Stop being so goddamn quick to publicly judge kids. Now we got that out the way, let's go ahead and get into the countdown. So let me tell you why this countdown is different. If you follow other Florida State publications, probably somewhere in the last month or so, you saw their countdowns. The reason why mine is different, number one, is because it's only 5 players, right? 5 players. Second is, if you looked at those countdowns and it was the dog days of summer, we didn't have shit else to do, nothing was popping with the program, so I'm pretty sure we all took a gander at it, at the very least the top 10 of those countdowns, right? There wasn't any surprise. It's almost as if they were counting down the best players, or at least not so best to the best. This isn't that. I don't need to tell you how good Marvin Wilson is and how important he is to the team, right? You know, if he's healthy and he's available, you know what Marvin Wilson's going to do. I don't need to tell you how good Tamarian Terry is and how important he is to the team. If he's healthy and available, you know what he's going to do. This one's going to be geared towards players who have potential, players who need to be healthy, and players that at positions of need, they need to produce and be healthy for Florida State. Because think about it. You look at that goddamn schedule they gave us. If we're being realistic, Florida State finishing 4-6 is probably what the goal is. If Florida State is going to ascend to 5-5, 6-4, maybe even 7-3, these 5 players are detrimental to everything you're going to see on the football field. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get it started. First player on the list, Mr. Do-It-All Dent himself, Akeem Dent. Now, here's the thing with Akeem Dent. If you're reading the reports from the scrimmages, and I think Florida State has had 2 at the time I'm recording this, you have Miko Dotson transfer from, I think, FAU? He comes from FAU, Florida. I don't know where he came from. You got Jackson coming over from Mississippi. Not the state, but I think he comes from Mississippi State, not Ole Miss, but Mississippi State. It's almost as if they're vying for the other cornerback position opposite of Asante Samuel. Here's my issue with that. I don't have a lot of film on Jackson, and I have very little film on Miko Dotson. What I have seen, and it's a small sample size, what I have seen is a former 5-star cornerback play the position. I went back and watched the Sun Bowl again. My eyes are still burning from watching that shit. And I was watching it to see another player. But in the process of watching the other player, I just looked at I started paying attention to what Akeem Dent was doing, and he didn't come in until you saw Isaiah Bolden go down. I think Isaiah Bolden went down somewhere early in the first quarter, and he took over. He looked fluid, he looked smooth, it looked natural, knowing that he played outside. You know, he played out of position last season, and you want to get your best 11 on the field. I get it. And I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine on Twitter, and we were discussing the fact that, hey, listen, man, if he catch 3, 4, 5 of those footballs, everybody wants to keep him at safety. Everybody. Even if he does catch those balls, he still shouldn't play that position. I'm an advocate of putting kids where their skill set is used the best. That boy is a natural cornerback. I'm not going to suggest you go back and watch the Sun Bowl, but if you do remember it, just remember how fluid he looked, how it was more so of, this is second nature to me. This is what I do. You want that type of athlete. You want somebody who has that type of confidence playing that position. I'm not a proponent of, like I've said this on previous shows. You want, if you want to get the most out of a kid, if you want to maximize their talent, put them where they are most suitable or what they are most comfortable doing. It was clear in that game. He's more comfortable playing cornerback. And since I haven't seen much of Jackson, since I haven't seen much of Dotson, I'm going to say that the cornerback who needs to be opposite of Asante Samuel is going to be Akeem Dent. Moving on to number 4. This is the reason why I went back and watched the Sun Bowl I went back and watched a few games, but the Sun Bowl in particular. Number 4 is linebacker Emmett Rice. Now, if you look at the last time Florida State had decent to good, consistent linebacker play, we talking at least 6 or 7 years. And I'm not real big on Emmett Rice. I don't see what a lot of other people see. I think there are some positives about him. I don't think he's just an ass football player. But, okay, so he takes over the middle linebacker role at Florida State. Ask yourself this question. Did he take Dontavius Jackson's job, or did Dontavius Jackson give him his job? From what I saw, it was the latter. There's nothing impressive about that to me. You could tell there were times that the Florida State coaching staff wanted to put Dontavius Jackson back on the field at times, because Emmett Rice, he has, I guess you would say, average instincts. He doesn't shed blockers real well, and being physical at the point of attack isn't something he's very good at. That's your middle linebacker. There were times in which I saw he'd be replaced by Leonard Warner, who was the weak side linebacker at middle linebacker in goal line situations. How the hell do you take your starting middle linebacker off the field in a goal line situation? And there were times they rotated. He would play weak side, Leonard would play inside, things of that nature. But in all actuality, he was Florida State's middle linebacker. This is just my opinion, and my opinion ain't worth shit. He ain't it. But if Florida State is going to ascend, or at least let's just talk, damn the football team itself, let's just talk about the defense. If the defense is going to ascend to what we want it to, he has to turn the corner. Ain't no ifs, ands, or fucking buts about it. He has to. You look at how Florida State got beat underneath. You look at the short to intermediate games that teams were able to pick apart Florida State with. He's a key cog in what other teams were able to do. They picked on him. Hell, anybody would have, because he's an average football player. I don't know many defenses that were really good who had an average middle linebacker. I'm not saying there aren't any. I'm just saying I don't remember any. If you find some, shit, show me. I'd love to see them. I think one of the telltale signs about Emmett Rice is really just the front seven as a whole. Hamsah Nasirildeen was the leading tackle for Florida State. Your safety should never lead the team in tackles under any freaking circumstance. That's just my opinion. I've never seen a dominant defense, a defense that was tabbed as being really good, who had a safety as their leading tackle. And listen, I'm not going to pound on the kid too goddamn much. I think I've made my point. If Florida State, the defense in particular, if they're going to be what we all want them to be, they won't be unless Emmett Rice, he's been at the fucking program forever. And, I understand, due to injury, he couldn't get on the field, things of that nature, but he has no excuse this goddamn season. I heard he's put on about 15, 20 pounds of muscle, which his ass needed, because he was very thin at that position. Why in the hell was Jumbo always recruiting them skinny-ass goddamn linebackers? And they weren't skinny, they were small, I'll get me started on that. I digress. Moving on. He's number 4 for good reason. Number 3. And the third person on this list didn't originally make the list. The third person on this list was actually Corey Durden. After reading some reports and seeing some things, number 3 is Hamsah Nasirildeen. Here's why he's number 3. And you could argue he could be higher. He's not healthy. People, let's just face the fact. If he's not healthy and available, this defense is in trouble. I don't give a good goddamn how much talent is out there. He was the eraser for a lot of what we saw last year on that defense. On the defense that underperforming really wasn't already good. A lot of times you would see that defense quit. He kept playing hard every fucking play. If he's not available, and even when he is available, if he's not 100%, this defense ain't going for. More importantly, there isn't anybody behind him who has the skill set to do what he does. If you look at the bandit role that Fuller's going to use him in that defense, he'll be everywhere. And that's exactly what I said this last season. The way they employ him in that defense last season is what we all wanted Charles Kelly to do with Derwin James. Just let him loose, man. Cut him loose. Let him do whatever he does. Maximize his skill set. Let him loose. And that's what we saw happen with Hamsah Nasirildeen. If he can't play, not even if he can't play, if he's not what we saw last year, the eraser that he's still going to need to beat that eraser, because be mindful, this is a new system. It takes a while for a team to get comfortable in a new system. How many games was it when in 2013 did you see the defense actually get comfortable with them making a few adjustments here and there, that you saw Jeremy Pruitt's unit get comfortable? Because they became dominant. They became very dominant. It takes a little bit, right? Well, you need uber athletes in the process of that transition. That's what Hamsah Nasirildeen is. He's an NFL talent. He's probably a day one, day two type talent. We need him on the football field, and we need him healthy. If he's not, that defense is in a world of fucking trouble. Number two is probably the most interesting player on this list, and I'll tell you why. It's Jaden Lars-Woodbey. So we're all fans of versatility, right? We all love the defensive backs who can play any position. We all love the defensive linemen who can play inside and outside. Yeah, that's all good and well. One of my favorite players, really probably in college football history, was Isaiah Simmons, linebacker from Clemson last year. Not only, and this is probably getting off topic here, but this is one of the reasons why everybody loves Brent Venables. He changed his entire defense around. Some people say he changed his defense around to mask weaknesses. I say he changed his defense around to make sure that Isaiah Simmons was a featured player and he was able to use his skill set as many places as he could. That was the true definition of a Swiss Army knife. And here's what set Isaiah Simmons apart from everybody else who's ever done what he's done. Okay, Brent moved him everywhere. What made Isaiah Simmons so good was no matter where you moved him, he was really good there. A lot of players are versatile, right? But that doesn't mean that they are really good at every spot you put them at. They may be decent. They may be okay. Isaiah Simmons was good every fucking where. Jaden Lars-Woodbey has the window to have the same impact. The operative word here is impact. I'm not comparing the two because they're different players. They have different body styles. They have different skill sets. They will be asked to do different things. So I'm not comparing the two as football players. I'm saying how impactful you saw Simmons be for Clemson defense. Jaden Lars-Woodbey playing the buck position can be just as impactful as you saw Simmons last year for Clemson. If you look at what you would ask somebody to do in the buck position, blitz at a high level, catch all the things in the flat, catch all shallow crossing patterns, cover a little bit, plug holes if need be physical at the point of attack, that's Jaden. That's Jaden Lars-Woodbey. Somebody who has a high football IQ. Somebody who has, in that position, you have to have really good instincts. I don't know if I've seen enough of him to have really, I would say really good instincts, but they are at the very least decent. And with that, when instincts become better is when you get more reps at a position, when you see the field more. We all know he was cut down last season, had a season-ending injury. That was one of the things that's going to hurt him this season because you want to see him get those live reps, right? You want him to get as much experience under his belt as he can. I've said this on a previous show. I thought seeing where he was put last season, I thought that the previous FSU staff was wasting his career away, and it was killing me to see it. He's not a linebacker. And I understand the buck is a hybrid position where you have some linebacker duty, but you're not a true linebacker. You play a lot in space. You put that kid in space on running backs, on tight ends, even in some slot situations where he'll be at the very least decent. You put that kid in space, the sky's the limit for him. The sky is the limit for him. And if he performs at a high level, the sky's the limit for that defense. So again, if he's healthy, because like I said, he had a pretty horrific injury. If he's healthy and he's utilized right, and actually I have the utmost confidence in Fuller. I think Fuller's going to do a great job at seeing who fits where and utilizing those skill sets to the best of the team's, to the best of those players' ability, and the team benefits from it, right? So I'm anxious to see what Fuller's going to do, but more specifically, I'm anxious to see what he does with Jaden Lars-Woodbey. Number one on this list, it's not one person, it's two people. It's Joshua Kando and Janarius Robinson. Listen. Fuck everything I said. If these two guys cannot get pressure on the quarterback, nothing what I said matters. Nothing. You unplug these goddamn lights, cancel Christmas, nothing matters. You look at these guys between the two of them last season playing 16 games, they combined for 4 fucking sacks. Come on, man. Come on. I said this in the Florida State preview last season. Kando, it's time to put up a shut up. And I'm with everybody else. He was turning the corner when he got hurt against Virginia. He was turning the corner. He looked not good that game. He looked good for the 3 games we saw him in. And you look at these guys, they what you call creative players, man. They are physical specimens. You look at Joshua Kando, he checks in somewhere around 6'7", 260. You look at Janarius Robinson, probably somewhere between 6'5" and 250, 260. These guys are physical specimens. Fuck everything I said about Jaden, about the importance of Hamsah being healthy, Akeem, all that shit. None of that shit. If we cannot put pressure on the quarterback without blitzing all the goddamn time, don't none of that stuff matter. None of it. And from the looks of it, as far as what their role is, they'll be splitting time because they'll be true defensive ends. The other side of the ball, that'll be the Fox position. That looks like it's going to be a Amari Gaynor or Kalen DeLoach, which I'm fine with either one of those. Am I? We'll talk about that later. If they're going to be splitting time, then great. I don't give a shit. I'm telling you right now, it's put up a shut-up time. These guys have been with the program at the very least 4 years for the both of them. It's time for you to start, at the very least, living up to some of that hype and producing. Everybody, we talk about the secondary, or when you hear talk, I don't talk about them often, but you hear people talk about the secondary a lot as it relates to there's a ton of fucking talent and not that much production. The production and the talent have never met one another. You have any idea how good that goddamn secondary would look if we could get some pressure on the football consistently? How would you feel as a quarterback to have these two huge motherfuckers screaming off the edges and you have to get pushed up into Corey Durden and Marvin Wilson? Woo! That just reeks of success. That's exactly what we want to see. And although I don't think they'll be on the field a lot at the same time, I think that in passing downs, pure passing downs, why not put them on the field at the same time? It's time to get the best. Coach Pap has his work cut out for him. He does. Because you look at Joshua Kando, how big he is, how strong he is. He has a little bit of bend to him. There's no reason why he should, if healthy, of course, because we all know that's the knock with him. There's no reason why he shouldn't get double-digit sacks. No reason. He was really starting to put it together. And even with Janarius Robinson just getting 3 sacks last year, we saw him take strides, and I'm always a person who wants to just see traction. Okay, well, we've seen enough, goddammit. We need to see some real deal serious progress. Well, that's going to be it, guys, man. That's my 5. Like I said, we're going to have another show next week where we're going to focus on the offensive side of football. Also here shortly, what we're going to do is going to do a mailbox, man. Like, you can follow me on Instagram at the Hot Seat 19. You can follow me on Twitter at the Hot Seat 19. Just send me your questions, man. You got any questions, anything you guys want me to get up here and discuss or give my 2 cents on, just send them to me, man. I'd be happy to get up here and talk you guys' ear off. As always, man, I appreciate your time. I know that sounds cliche, but I really do appreciate you hitting that play button and looking at me talk to you guys for an extended period of time. I understand that time is the most precious thing you have to give somebody. When you give me your time, I appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy these videos. Um, I may wait a little bit to do that second video for the offensive side of the ball. All depends what my schedule looks like. But again, follow me on Instagram at the Hot Seat 19. Follow me on Twitter at the Hot Seat 19. Hit those like buttons for me on YouTube. Please hit those subscribe buttons on YouTube. Y'all know if y'all getting them messages, I'm gonna reply back. I try to reply back to everybody. I love these conversations, good, bad, or indifferent. So until the next time, man, I appreciate you. You are officially off the hot seat.